I'm really excited and delighted that our first keynote speaker today is Henry Simmons. Henry is the chief exec of Scotland's leading dementia charity, Alzheimer's Scotland, and a great friend of the network. Those of you who know Henry will know the influence that he has had over dementia in Scotland in recent decades. I think Alzheimer's Scotland's role has particularly shone in the last few years. It's always been an organisation that I have enormously high regard for, but particularly in the course of the last few years with COVID, the stops that have been pulled out to support people with dementia by Alzheimer's Scotland is really, really remarkable. And I am delighted to welcome Henry to speak today, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what he has to say. So thank you for joining us, Henry.
Well, thank you so much for the very kind words, and I'm really so pleased to have been invited by Emma to come and give this short presentation. It is truly an honour and a privilege for me to be here in front of such an audience such as yourselves, and I often feel that perhaps some of what I would say I'm talking to the converted already, but it's nice, I think, to get that out there, and hopefully we can continue to work together and spread the word about the empowering transformation that we have to get through in terms of dementia research. So colleagues, just to start off with, as Tom said, I'm Chief Executive of Alzheimer's Scotland, and it's been a great privilege for me to have had this role for a number of years, and I think that we have come through a substantial level of transformation in Scotland in terms of policy and practice. Sad to say, the reality on the ground hasn't quite changed as quickly as we would hope, so there is a lot to be done. And Alzheimer's Scotland's key roles are primarily in terms of two fundamental areas. One is campaigning, influencing, providing policy reports and guidance that hopefully can transform the system and improve the lives of everyone living with dementia, including carers and families. And we do a lot of that through the active participation of those with lived experience. I hear from colleagues today from NDN, National Dementia Carers Action Network, about the role carers play within that. And the second thing is to provide as much support as we possibly can directly to people. And that covers our 24-hour helplines, our dementia resource centres, our link workers, and our ongoing community support activities. So across Scotland, every day we'll be supporting a few hundreds, if not thousands of people in that context. So we do have some sense of where people are at in terms of the discussions that are taking place with them about research, and how research sits within the construct of the journey of people living with dementia. And I want to try and go through today some of the issues that we feel need to be tackled and need to be transformed if we are to achieve the potential of high quality dementia research in Scotland. Now, I know the network deals with more than just dementia, and I think that some of the issues I'm sure will be relevant across the piece, but there'll be some unique nature to the talk that I give that might be slightly different. So just to start off with, I think that one of the most important things that you as a research community give is this sense of hope. I think research, it gives us a really clear view of what the future could be like, but it brings us this wonderful, really powerful essence of hope. And I think that we need that now more than ever. I think that what we've come through, our community has been decimated by COVID. I think that the experiences that many people are going through in terms of loss and grief and stress and distress and trauma is huge. So as an organisation, what we've been doing and working on as our way to move forward from COVID and to start to remobilise all of our services is to design a new strategy and to introduce three main themes within that, which we call prevent, care and cure. And our goal really is to use a high level of research drive to give people some sense of hope and to put together a collaboration across the community that will actually help people feel a sense of actually there is something positive that we can do and indeed are doing. So the other highly important component of our view in research is we think it's incredibly empowering. I think the decision to participate in research is a really empowering decision. And often people who are going through that process of diagnosis feel very disempowered, and families feel very disempowered. To make that decision, to be in control of that decision, I think is hugely important. We have absolutely no doubt that it will improve practice and care, and indeed, as we pursue our scientific goals, ensuring that we get the basics right and the practice right is equally important. We are certain, and we know from our own work with the Davos Alzheimer Collaborative and the work we're doing within our Breaker Scotland project, which I'm not here to talk about today, but the research influence in terms of improved diagnostic procedures and early interventions are actually unquestionable. We think it will and should very quickly and soon lead to new treatments and indeed new opportunities for further research in that area. And without a shadow of a doubt, it will improve the lives of millions of people across the world. And if we get it right, it will save the lives of millions of people across the world. It's imperative, and it's our main hope for a better future. So it seems a little bit strange that we rarely talk about it. And we rarely talk about it to people living with dementia and their families and carers. And recently we've been talking with, Siobhan's here today, a range of stakeholders across the dementia community out with the research environment, because I know that our researchers are the most dedicated researchers. You talk about it all the time, but you can't do that on your own. You can't reach every person who we should be having a conversation about research with on your own. And somewhere there is a flaw in the system process in terms of how we are engaging people in that discussion. And when we talk to people, what we hear are things like, well, there's not much point because there's not much research getting done. So I'm sure you all disagree with that, because many of you here are actively researching. The other things we hear is we don't have much time, we don't have the time. There's a perception, and it's a little bit like the perception that we suffer for many years, that there's nothing much you can do about dementia. There's nothing much. No one wants to really get a timely diagnosis. The negativity that's been around the construct of how we support dementia is actually very challenged significantly. I believe it's the same in terms of research. This concept, no one wants to sign up for research. That's not my answer. And I talk to hundreds of people working in research across other research centres. People that are desperately keen to engage in research. It's not my job. This sense of I'm not that into research. I think every single professional engaged in our community is a duty to be into research. It's just been part and parcel of way of life, way of thinking. But we also know that when it comes to local spend, local investment, research, dementia research and funding, it's quite low down the priority. And it's been very difficult to get up the priority to see some significant investment. And there are a lot of other priorities, but that just comes out. And it's one of the reasons why organisations like Alzheimer Scotland exist, is to keep that ability to influence voice, ensure the voice of people with experience, but ensure our cause and campaign are actually being listened to and people take it seriously. Today, I don't think we've done enough perhaps to really up the level of pressure that we intend to change. And colleagues, of course, we have all this to statements that have been getting pressed in the past year or so. And what I think that does is it really confuses the public, it confuses individuals, and it doesn't respect more diagnosis. It doesn't respect the issues that people are facing. And you know, if you just absolutely walking slowly, one at the top of but there are other things in here that just beg our belief. And you know, I'll say a wee bit more about it in a minute, but we deal with a lot of media, we deal with a lot of press organisations, and we know that the one thing that actually selling newspapers put dementia on the front page. And it's the demographic reacts well to that. In fact, I remember very early on the day after the criminal Gaddafi had been sort of found, it was on the front page one day. The thing that put it off the next day was dementia. at that point, it was only 10 years ago, and you're finding your information about 10 years ago. So the problem of how, in the way that you're engaging and the way you're utilising research. And I think we've got to consider just simply why are they getting this so wrong. So I think that, as I mentioned already, the idea of how we have this conversation, and who has this conversation, is something that we together really work with that about. But also, I think that the few fundamental issues that we find that need to be realistically to be explored. And I engage in a lot of discussion with this through my role as a member of the Joint Research Programme Board, and we deal with a lot of the sort of strategy of how we're going to recruit people into research. And we also have been able to engage with UK governments and talk to the Dimension Mission to get into their thoughts and their views of how we're going to move people into research. And it seems to me that there's a fundamental issue about everyone thinks you can apply the same practices or the same engagement methods to other conditions such as cancer, to dementia. And everyone thinks that the route into this is actually, get the doctor with the diagnosis, the person has a conversation about research, and everything will be fine. And fundamentally, I think that that's wrong. Because what that doesn't recognise and doesn't really understand is that when that doctor's facing that person, they see someone that's going through an incredibly traumatic process. They've seen someone who probably, is struggling to just understand everything that they're going through. And perhaps, it isn't the right time. But the policy is to say memory clinic, doctor, diagnosis, research. And I think that is unfair in the expectations of the doctor in terms of diagnosis, but it's also trying to mirror other forms of illness and conditions, and it simply doesn't work. And we have to call that out and say, actually, we don't think this is the best way to take this forward. And I'll say a wee bit about how we want to try and tackle that as we move on, but let me just put that on the wall soon and say, we don't think that's the right way, and we don't think that's going to work. The big idea, just now, to tell you, within that community is that, okay, what we'll do then is we'll write to every single person, invite them to participate in research when they get the diagnosis. So we'll go from the sort of the memory clinic doctor going to writing a letter and expecting that to become the way we recruit people into research. I just think that's flawed, and it doesn't necessarily reflect what people are going through. And the final point here is, I mentioned already, it sells newspapers. And I think that, the newspapers benefit from that, sometimes the research service looking for extra funding benefits from that, but the people who don't benefit from that are the public and those that are living with dementia. And we've got to really try and challenge that, we've got to stop that, we've got to stop seeing a successful outcome as how many tweets you get and retweets you get over something. We've got to think much more about how we're engaging and encouraging people to participate in that. So our view right now is that this needs to stop. And I think that as a community, as a collective community together, both the research community, but the movement, the dementia community, the movement, we need to reclaim back the research agenda. And we need to put people front and centre of that from top to bottom. Now, I know the network is a particularly good example of participation, and it's done that from the start, and I think the credit for that is crucially important. But we've all got a bigger part to play, and this is not just a Scottish issue, it's a UK, it's a global issue, and Scotland can lead the way in taking things forward as we've done before. I think we need to recommit to this concept of better research in terms of hope, in terms of prevention, in terms of better care, and ultimately a cure. I think we need behind that vision, which all believe that, firmly believe that's possible. And I genuinely believe that most importantly, we've got to empower those who are living with the diagnosis and their care into the diagnosing. We need to be led by people with work experience on the areas of research that they think are important. And that doesn't just mean the care side of it. I think we need to start to involve people with much greater depths of understanding in all of the areas, from the science all the way through to the care practices.
And colleagues, I think we must really build a community that is absolutely 100% committed to the power of participation. And fundamentally, we need to use this opportunity coming forward, coming through the pandemic, looking at what research has achieved in other areas as a consequence of collaboration, as a consequence of COVID, to shift the balance. And that's why, colleagues, there's two big areas of work that we're involved in just now that we think will really start to shift that balance. We want to test it. But one of the areas from Alzheimer's Scotland's perspective is that we've been fortunate, and we are fortunate, that people continue to support our work. They continue to donate to Alzheimer's Scotland. They continue to hope that we can support the research infrastructures as we have done. We're not the type of organisation that wants to spend £1 million in one research project. That isn't what we are about. What we want to try and do is spend and invest the resources we've got to create the right infrastructure in order to bring in hundreds of millions of pounds to Scotland. We want to work with our partners, and we've done it. I think we've been so lucky that we've had committed, highly skilled, highly talented researchers who have formed the Scottish Dementia Research Consortium, and Peter was the chair of that for several years here. And that type of collaboration, that type of infrastructure, that type of scaffolding is how I think we can make Scotland much more attractive. Behind that, JDR, the network, the recruitment registers, having people who are signed up, ready and prepared to participate in research. These are all the things that when we talk to industry that they want, and they're all the things that just now are not working. I'm sure you'll have seen the report that came out in the UK were commenting on, but something like only 60 people in England signed up to participate in drug trials. I think that's mind-blowingly bad. And you know, I think there's a risk that industry just walks away from a community that can engage people to a better level than that. And we would not want that. We want people to be participating in drug trials and studies in Scotland, and we don't know the exact figures in Scotland, but irrespective of that at the UK level is just not acceptable. So what we want to do is create a new. Thank you. It's all right. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. We want to create a new approach. We want to turn it on its head. So rather than just having people involved in a sort of research discussion, or having people involved as participants in decision making, we're going to put together a small research fund. We're going to focus that around about MRes studentships. We're going to launch that in the next couple of months, and we'll have that on the ground in situ for next year. But the most important thing that we're going to do here is we want to make the decisions. We're going to put the decisions about what research gets funded, what the priorities are, in the hands of our two really important groups. That's the Scottish Dementia Working Group and the National Dementia Care Action Network. And we're going to shift the paradigm in this. So rather than them sitting as advisors to other academics and researchers who are making decisions, we're going to have them as decision makers with academic advisors held in. And I'm delighted to say that Professor Martin Rosser has agreed to support that as an ambassador of Alzheimer's Scotland, and Martin's going to guide people through that process of decision making. And I think to have someone like Martin alongside this community is really important and really helpful. So we're going to try and see just how successful we can be in transforming this paradigm, shifting towards people making the decision and being in the driving seat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try and work with the researchers to make sure that they themselves can actually be held more accountable to people with that experience. So as we go through that process, we transform it and we try and build from that. And hopefully if that's successful and that works, we will continue to see extra resources, extra support, extra donations coming in to support the work that Alzheimer's Scotland can do to continue to invest in research. Now, it's difficult times that we're in just now. I think that there's no doubt that there's a cost of living pressure that is going to affect us, but we've got enough resources to get this started, and we'll aim to continue to build that. Now, just to return to my final slide and my final point, is this, Tom will probably talk more about it later on, but I'm so grateful to Tom and Emma in particular for really supporting this ambition that we jointly have to make sure that we can develop a network of individually skilled, confident practitioners who can have a conversation with people either newly diagnosed or living with dementia for research participation. So the fundamental principle of my view in this is that it's not the time that you have the point of contact in terms, it's not the time where you focus policy around, it should be the relationship. And it's the person with the best relationship that understands where the person is at in their time living with dementia or receiving a diagnosis that should have the conversation about research. And that's where we failed. We don't have people feeling confident and engaged and empowered to have that conversation. Now, I firmly believe, if you take for example, we've got 110 link workers throughout Scotland dealing with several thousand people at that point of diagnosis, and they've got a minimum of 1 year to support people through that post-diagnostic work. But no other country in the world has that. No other country in the world. So the control time's up. I'll just finish in a minute. There's no other country that's got that level of investment in post-diagnosis support. We have a fantastic platform to use that as a research, informed, hopefully recruitment basis. And to do that, we've got to get our staff and all the professionals involved to sell their education. I mean, that's getting received really well at Scotland level and the UK level. And I'm really confident that the programme that Tom, Emma, Neil and the team involved will deliver is at a skilled and enhanced level in terms of the promoting excellence framework. And from that, we can see what happens across next year. I want to see JDR's number flying through the roof in Scotland. I want to see participation flying through the roof, and I bet you will achieve that. And when we achieve that, we'll make Scotland the place to come to get research funding and investment. And together, hopefully we'll sit here in a year or two thinking that is a good move and it helped us, and we've got participation, empowerment and research driving forward. And the pace it should be based on the skills of you guys in this community school, because we deserve to be at the front leading the world in this, and let's make sure we do. Thank you very much, Paul.